What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Brock.
Mike,
I'm Brock, and after several months, we're once again joined by Jeff Manning, whoever that is,
It's time to take it up a notch.
in honor of the new release of early classics coming out here this fall. We thought we'd go to our Wayback Machine and visit the original 2074 release, and we'll start looking at Cross Currents, or
Thetis.
Thetis, Thetis,
I called him Thetis.
Vortex. They're the
No
cross
arguments on
currents.
that one.
And then Torpor.
Which is not fun to say. Torpor.
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 Is he a fish man?
He's from Cygnus, isn't he?
I think so.
Cygnus Air Raid is his finisher. He better be.
Yeah, he better be. The Signatium fellows all look different, so we'll give them that.
They have diversity. There's nothing wrong with that.
They do. You got reptilian guys, you got fish guys, you got
let's start off with Torpor.
Torpor.
Torpor. Say it with me now. Torpor.
Torpor. Here he is. And since we have the handbooks, we can have a dramatic reading of the handbook.
Does he look like jagged, like you would want to touch him? I feel like he'd be very difficult to wrestle against.
It's like a bluegill.
I guess. I still don't want to touch him. You ever catch a fish and you touch it like on the gill? It's not very good.
Andy also appears to be naked.
Yeah. He does. He doesn't even have
another Bendis artwork.
He doesn't even have the patented gloves on. Come on, man.
Nope, no dishwashing gloves or anything. They weren't in style in 2074. That was later. It was deeper into the future.
I bet there's some people. I'm not thinking about it, but I mean,
Thetis
and Vortex both had like gloves of some sort. They didn't have the dishwashing gloves though.
They have some kind of gauntlets or something.
Yeah.
With tubes on them. And one guy has a chain.
There was only 10 guys in the original Classics 2074 book.
Yep.
All right. Do you want me to read the description of the old book?
Sure.
Torpor, which is, by the way, as I said before we were on the air, not fun to say. So I'm gonna stumble my way through it. His main feud was Commander Sam at the time. So we started off with the Earthling hate right away, specifically Americans. We've never gotten away from that, even in 2074. His finisher is the Cygnus Air Raid. Torpor would try to end his matches by climbing to the top of the turnbuckle and delivering a deadly swooping clothesline on his unfortunate opponent. So his background. Torpor was one of the most celebrated war heroes in the Cygnus star system. He won many medals for outstanding flying ability in the many air raids that the Cygnus military fought against Earth during the Galactic Wars. Torpor and Sam saw each other many times during the war. When the war ended, Torpor entered the GWF to continue his grudge against Commander Sam. Torpor was among the first non-human wrestlers in the GWF, but he was not the first alien star. This honor went to Mangus, Destroyer of Humans, who was the first great alien wrestler. Torpor never successfully adjusted to being a wrestler. Though he and Sam were about equally competitive in 2074, Sam improved dramatically in 2075 and 2076, while Torpor never quite got the hang of GWF wrestling. Finally, after a few years of trying and failing, Torpor retired from ring action in 2076. Such was the fate of many wrestlers in the early days of the GWF. Not until later did the sport evolve to the point where great champions like Star Warrior and Thantos forged long and successful careers. So there you go. There's Torpor. He finished off the end of the 2074 Classics book. So that's why he had that summation at the end.
Probably because it's alphabetical.
Yeah, I believe they were alphabetical. Actually, this book, no. 2074 was not alphabetical. When they did the re-release and the color, that was alphabetical.
Okay.
Because it starts off with Omega.
Yeah, it starts with Omega and then Morpheus. Commander Sam was actually right before Torpor, so definitely not alphabetical. Sorry, Brock, calling you out.
All right.
Far be it a person from Pittsburgh ever be wrong.
I know. It's never happened before.
This is the first. Mark this date down.
Even though they're one of the few other 3-0 teams.
It's true. Omega and Morpheus weren't even in
I just noticed you're wearing a Chiefs hat. Stop it. No, but their background was in this set.
Mm-hmm.
Omega was the first to kick it off, and it says use Classics 2079 card, and same with Morpheus.
Because that was the first classic set that was released.
Now, when this set came out, I'm unsure the year when it came out.
1995.
I was gonna say it should have a trademark.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So I had been wrestling for about 10 years when this came out. So I wasn't going to backtrack my Fed, so I included these guys in my Fed.
Of course you did.
Which upset Jeff to no end.
And Brock probably tagged them with future versions of themselves or something.
They never got new cards, or I would have.
I mean, they had commissioner cards and whatnot.
I did not use Omega or Morpheus because they had already been introduced. But the other guys were, and Commander Sam, I didn't use that Commander Sam. So Torpor I used for 3 years, and I used them in my UWA, which was my my Fed where all my low level guys were in, and I didn't like them. Didn't like the character. He lasted 3 years before I retired him as well.
That's all.
Well, he was only technically in the game for 2 years according to the book, so yeah. You weren't far off.
And he feuded Blizzard and lost to Blizzard every year.
He's the best.
Blizzard.
And that was the green colored Blizzard from the Bash set.
The
so
Bash
that wasn't even a good one. So that shows you how bad this guy was. But he was violent. Like I look on his card, he injured people for a total of 10 cards in 3 years. So he was going at a good clip.
He's a soldier. He's a pilot.
He's the Pete Beck of Cygnus.
He is. he is. He's got a raw rating of 710.
Whoa. It's kind of low.
Just a bit.
He wasn't very good.
He's hard to knock down, though. You can't get him off his feet. But once you do, it's over. That 8-5 pin.
So yeah, Torpor was in my first singles match in my GWF Fed ever against Commander Sam. Of course, he lost. I had it, and then this is back when I did things a little differently. It was a 4-minute and 2-second match. I don't remember. I think I just kept a clock when I was rolling at that point. And it was a 2-star match.
Pretty good.
It wasn't bad. Torpor had a couple fatigue tokens, and Commander Sam only had one. But he started my Fed started in September 2nd, 2074. So he had the first ever singles match. If you're ever doing Jeff trivia, Jeff's Fed trivia, Torpor was in the first singles match versus Commander Sam. That'll be at the next Galacticon, I'm sure. He teamed with Rick and Prince for a little while towards the end of his run. His very last match, though, was a one-on-one contest against Rick and Prince at my first ever Galacticon on March 7th, 2077. So that was his final match. He lost, and then he retired because he was the weak link of the tag team he was in at that point, and just his partner beat him, so he had to leave. That's how I wrote him out. So he had a good extent. 2074, September 2074 to March 2077. Back then I ran my years where they would end with Galacticon kind of being like my WrestleMania. That was my very first Galacticon. So I figured that's time for him to leave. But he was in a tag team for a while with Rick and Prince after he failed against pretty much everybody in singles.
Yeah, he's like I said, when you're losing to rookie Blizzard from the birthday bash set.
So if anybody else watching ever had him face Blizzard, post in the comments.
Rookie I might be the only person.
That's his best known. That's his number one rival, Blizzard. Anybody named after a Dairy Queen treat, I'm all for.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't really say, hey, how would you power creep him? I suppose you could.
Yeah.
I'm going to move his finisher to a +2.
There you go.
I'm going to take his down 3 off of level 2 defense.
I'm going to change kick to head 2 on level 3 offense, kick to head 3. There you go.
Oh, yeah, his level 3 offense is awful.
Here's the thing: we can do all three of those things, and this guy's still gonna suck.
he's gonna be like a 20 on it.
Yeah.
We're already in the. We moved him up.
We might have bumped him to a 15 there.
That's why it's a power creep and not a power thrust.
Right.
I
Torpor.
mean, his character wasn't very interesting. I feel like
No.
that time period, Dark Star creature fit my void for like comedy non-humans, and Torpor was just sad. He, especially being a decorated war hero, you thought he would have been better at combat, but he just wasn't.
And
he was just an afterthought.
this is how bad he was. He never captured a title.
And
No,
you
he
have
never captured
38 of them running at that time.
Yeah, especially in the UAW, which is like got to be your 18th Fed or something.
Yeah.
No, but he had a bad draw in my Galaxian title tournament. He faced off with Omega in round 1 and got beat.
That's gonna do it.
Got destroyed in a minute and 15 seconds. It was
Torpor.
not a very. Oh, and he lost via sunset flip. It was not exciting. Sorry, that was card number 2 in my Fed. He was in the singles tournament.
Torpor. Hey, he was in the tournament.
Card number 1, I introduced all the characters, and card number 2, I held my Galaxian title tournament. Card 3 was my tag tournament. So.
And Omega won it.
Yeah, Omega won it. Of course, he won it over Blacklash in the finals. So, but enough about. We'll talk about Omega another time if we're going early classes. I have plenty on Omega. He was my. he was amazing in my Fed. So yeah.
So then let's switch over to the tag team here of Cross Currents.
Vortex the Cross Currents. Now their artwork is different because when I saw the original, I thought they were just mer people, right? And then you see the colorized version, they're like blue.
Yeah, that's how Atlanteans are in the comics. Both Marvel and DC.
Not all of us are comic book nerds, thanks guys. And Namor, he's a submariner and he's not blue,
but he's partially human.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you want to argue, I think Vortex looks partially human. Now you can make an argument on Thetis that he could be blue because he has the guild kind of face.
Yeah.
But Vortex doesn't. He looks human.
See, when I saw this artwork, since I'm a comic book nerd, and Brock might be able to back me up on this, but this artwork reminded me a lot of Gil Kane.
Yeah, I can see it.
I have no idea who that is, and that's okay. Elaborate, Gil Kane.
He's an artist for Marvel. I think I think he did a lot of Marvel work in the 70s.
Okay. So not only is it comic books, which I'm not huge into, it's prior to my birth. So
yeah.
I appreciate the knowledge, though. I do like the artwork. I mean, the artwork is one of the things that brings me into the game.
For Bendis art, this was surprisingly good.
Yeah, the full body shot.
Some
details.
I like this artwork.
Excuse me.
It's one of the few characters where you actually have the entire body in the picture. I don't think there's very many characters that have that.
Well, you got Thetis has like a chain, and then Vortex, of course, has like and it's not really a trident. It kind of is, but kind of not. It doesn't really have three. It doesn't really have three prongs.
It's got 3.
Well, it's got 2 prongs. The other one's like a
decorative thing.
Yeah, decorative piece to it.
Or a baby bottle.
See, this one really is the Gil Kane look for me.
So Gil Kane worked on the Amazing Spider-Man, as well as Green Lantern and the Atom.
I think he's most known for the Atom.
Co-created the versions of the superheroes Green Lantern and the Atom for DC Comics, and co-created Iron Fist and Adam Warlock for Marvel. So there you go. I looked him up.
Okay.
Good job.
When you saw the artwork, did you say, "Oh my God, it's Kane"?
That's gotta be. That's gotta be Kane.
Gil Kane, that is. He was Latvian.
Anyway, it's spelled the same way.
It is spelled the same. I had to look it up. At first, I had CAI, and I got Gil Kane. I'm like, Kane. Ooh, it's Kane. All right. So do you want me to read their
Yep,
Yes.
let's
bio
get the
here?
bios.
All right. Cross Currents. Main feud Dorado Sundown, which they got housed by Dorado Sundown. Finisher. Thetis and Vortex use a move called Watery Grave as their finisher. When the opponent is struggling to his feet in the middle of the ring, both men propel themselves off the ropes and deliver a double shoulder tackle. The background. From the depths of the sea on the watery planet of Thalassius comes their incredible tag team, Cross Currents. Thalassius is in the Corvus star system. Thetis and Vortex are from an underwater civilization outside water for a few minutes. As a result, Thetis and Vortex wear special suits in the ring, which gives them the supply of liquids that are necessary for them to retain their strength. As you might imagine, the wrestling style of Cross Currents is fluid, constant motion. Thetis and Vortex are masters of diving type moves off the turnbuckle or propelling off the ropes. Thetis and Vortex were the first tag team specialists in GWF history. In tag matches, Cross Currents could compete with great opponents like Dorado Sundown. In fact, Blacklash and Bullwhip would often become very frustrated in matches with Cross Currents, and Blacklash once described Thetis and Vortex as slippery as eels. Thetis and Vortex gave so much of their attention to tag wrestling, however, that as singles wrestlers they were, and I apologize for this, like fishes out of water. That's what it says in the book. Literally, I'm just reading it. Cross Currents lasted in the GWF until 2082 and had some classic matches against the historians during their career. So there you go. So, fun fact, if you don't mind me going first, Cross Currents were in the very first match in my GWF. That was the first tag match, first match overall. They faced off against the Trotaris and Cordsar, who were the Menzins.
Mm.
Yeah, that was my very first match. They did get the win. Vortex pinned Cordsar using Watery Grave, but it was only 2 minutes and 53 seconds into the match, which was significant because they went on to the tag tournament and actually got beat in the first round by Bullwhip and Blacklash, but then the Menzins actually ended up winning the titles in that tournament. After opening my GWF with a loss, they ended up winning the tag tournament, which
Nice.
I thought was pretty interesting because they drew, and this is, I don't want to stay on point, but the Menzins drew the Guardians in the first round of my tag title tournament who were trying to stop Dorado Sundown from taking over the Fed, and they actually lost by DQ to the Menzins. I have
I
court. Oh, go ahead.
would say I still use these guys in my UWA Fed.
What year is your UWA Fed in? I'm just curious.
I'm in 2105 as
Okay,
well.
so
They all
2105. They're still in there in 2105. When were they debuted?
2099.
2099. So you're 6 years into their, which they had an 8-year run in GWF. So you're still in their timeline. I mean, not really their timeline, but their level of activity, let's say.
Well, it's funny. So when I started off in the UWF, it was all the wrestlers had to be 1 or 2 point guys, and I think I had a couple 3 point guys in there. And so they were my 2-time UWF tag team champions. So because they do have a lot of tags on their cards. They were in and out. They both have a tag finisher.
Mm-hmm.
The Watery Grave.
Yep. So they were like keepers of the stone in that aspect, where they both had the same finish. And so they did well. But then, as my UWF expanded, tougher and tougher guys came in, and they were they were a low level tag team. Like they're only a +2 tag team, so they're not that tough really. And so I created the Milky Way tag titles, which is like be like the US tag titles. And so they've captured that once. So they've done okay wise for tag teams. They're never going to make it out of my bottom tier Fed. But
You have little faith in them. Maybe they'll surprise you.
their first feud was against the Historians, and Thetis beat Parsec. Like they drew in the feud, so it did okay. But Thetis beat Parsec, and Vortex drew against Tantalus, so it was pretty good. And then they went, "Oh, let's take on Dorado Sundown," and that was an ass whooping. Unlike it was just bad.
It was just bad.
Like how it says their main feud's Dorado Sundown? No, it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, they were never really a feud for me either. Dorado Sundown was pretty much had their hands full with the Guardians while they were in my Fed and then before they left. So
Like I had Thetis and Vortex feud the Norse gods and they still lost.
they feuded with Defiance for me quite a bit. Then I think they feuded with that team of Rick and Prince and Torpor some.
Currently they're feuding Antak and Son of Ram. And they're doing okay against them.
Here's another fun fact. I love talking about these random guys. Another fun fact from my Fed, in my very first Regal Rumble, Vortex was the last entry and the last elimination.
Oh.
So, which was actually won by Tano from the Wind Riders in my very first Regal Rumble. I figure, if WWE could have a one-man gang and Hacksaw Jim Duggan it finish the first one, or well, the first one was Big John Studd, wasn't it? No, it was Hacksaw.
Oh, Hacksaw.
Second one was Big John Studd. Yeah, I figure why not? Why can't I have the Wind Riders and Tano pull off a upset victory in the first one ever?
Oh,
yeah. So anyway, but yeah, Vortex was the last entry and the last elimination in that. As I was building up a Wind Riders Cross Currents feud.
And how did they do for you, Brock?
I never used any of these cards.
He's like lost in the shuffle. No, you never went back and played the early classics, right?
Never.
If you haven't, now is a great time. We have this colorized set.
Mm-hmm. I own it. I own it. It's a beautiful set.
I will say that because just for my Fed, I only did one card a month because I felt like it was growing and there wasn't a huge roster. It was a really fun time period because every card I ran, the titles were on the line after the initial title tournament. There was always, and it seems like title reigns because I did that. DQs affected title reigns a lot. A lot of title reigns were longer back then because if anything happened outside of just a regular pin, it just prolonged the feud. So I really enjoyed playing this time period. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I'm glad they're revisiting it.
I am too. It always needed a full body of work. Although I'm a little disappointed that now I've missed out on some characters because I've already played 2074 through 2102. But
I
figured
it's start over again.
Can show up in your GWF now.
Any of those random guys that they've added, I would probably just say they were there, but on the undercard or dark matches or something. If you asked, you
could just throw matches in with them. They don't have to be for titles or anything. Or
I think the only one in the first set was that Sheamus. What's his name? Sheamus Pollock. I think is the only one in that first set that I didn't have.
Okay.
So not that far off. I know they added that. What was it? Red Talon and
Duke of Destruction.
Duke of Destruction that I didn't use. So, but I was already done with my early classics at that time. I really didn't want to go back and play. I felt like it was important to play 2074 through 2086 to build up to that Galactic Code being broken in March of 2087. But I really don't want to go back again because I've got such a good history now, and it kind of wrote the way I wanted it to with the link to title reigns and stuff, and like I said, the little details like Vortex being the last enter and Tano winning that first Regal Rumble made the Fed seem more realistic to me. So
yeah,
I really enjoyed that time period. I definitely am a big advocate for going back and playing early classics if you haven't, because I thought it was great, especially when I got to add in Screw. And then the COTG Genesis, I had Jack Hood make an appearance and almost shut down the Fed early on. And then, of course, you had Dorado Sundown trying to shut it down from within. It was a lot of fun. But, yeah, these guys were undercard guys that filled out the roster. Cross Currents was a little more important than Torpor, but they both filled out the roster well and made a lot of appearances in my Fed.
Yeah, that's something I wish that I almost would have done was, jump back and just use those guys as a separate Fed and slowly build it up. But it didn't come out like that, come out 2074, and I'm like, oh, and then a little while later, the next one, I
didn't even they didn't come out in the right order either. 2079.
No, they started 2079 and then 2074.
And then they jumped ahead to 3,000, and then 86, I think, came out.
Yeah,
And really, had they not released early classics like that edition by the Moleskis, I probably would have never played it. That rounded out the roster really for me. And
Yeah, there
it
wasn't
it
much of a
completed
Fed.
those gaps that I was like, what happened here and who was here?
Mhm.
So without that, I probably never would have played it. I'm really grateful that that set came out and I was able to play it.
Wonder if that set still has the value now that it had, now that they're re-releasing those in color.
I mean, I think that the game as a whole has become more collectible to some people.
Hmm.
Just I never viewed it as a collectible game. I always just viewed it as a game that I wanted to play. But
Yeah.
now I think you see more of that. Even watching eBay, there's always a Filsinger Games stuff available on eBay now,
Hmm.
and the prices people pay for various things, which I think I even bought these early classics again for quite a pretty penny because I wanted them and I'd sold mine.
Yeah.
Like, so I got these sets now that I got back. That's why I knew exactly where this book and these cards were. Like I haven't played with them. I bought them
Right,
and set
right.
them aside because the ones I played with I sold.
Hmm.
I actually lost my early classics books at some point, and that's why I ended up selling the cards eventually because I was like, I don't even have the books to these.
Yeah, you need the books.
So once I saw them on eBay at one point, and I decided I wanted to have them all again. They've just been sitting in an envelope with the other early classic stuff.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I do love my old notebooks. I know I don't really keep things in notebooks anymore, but having the classic notebook and looking back at my notes is so much fun.
well,
It really is.
we got a few minutes left, and baseball season's coming to a close. You
Uh,
guys got any guesses for the playoffs?
the Reds aren't in it, so I don't care. No, I will say as a baseball fan, I'm a big fan of watching whoever's in the playoffs. I will watch a lot of it, especially in the World Series. But I really don't have a dog in the fight besides rooting for teams like rooting against teams like the Cardinals or the Yankees or Dodgers or somebody that or the Astros. Otherwise, I hope it's good games and I like watching baseball because the Reds aren't in it.
Hmm.
I'm going to be cheering for Baltimore
That's
Okay.
always fun. They're
and the
young and
Padres.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna go for my American League team. I'll root for. I'll go for Cleveland,
yep.
and then National League. Let's go with Milwaukee. I
Yeah, I mean,
I can't cheer for Philadelphia for anything, and then or nor the Dodgers. So
I'd say
Yankees West.
I'd probably root for the Guardians and the Padres.
There you go.
I mean, that's Guardians just because I'm an Ohio guy and Cleveland never wins anything besides the one LeBron gave us for
Yeah.
basketball. And then the Padres is just because they've never really won it. So
Yeah,
I can't root
the
for
only
the
time they
Birds
got
just
to the
because they're a
World
central
Series,
team.
that I would say the only time Padres got to the World Series, like the entire team got the flu.
It was a bad time. Yeah, I have a hard time staying interested in baseball when my team's always eliminated by the third week of July.
Well, and for some reason, my team fired their manager with 5 games to go or something. I'm like, why? Like, he couldn't stick it out the final 5. Like,
There's probably some
I
kind of pay incentive if he finished the season.
I got
surprisingly,
annoyed at what Pittsburgh did to Rowdy Tellez.
oh yeah, they sent him down when he was about ready to get a bonus with 6 more at bats or something. Or was it 4 or
He
6
needed
more?
4 more at bats.
And they're like, we're not paying you $100,000. We're sending you down.
That's
That's what.
that's the Pittsburgh thing to do.
$200,000 bonus for 4 more, and then but the thing is though they sent him down so any team can sign him.
Yeah.
Any team can sign him. Just give him 4 at bats, and Pittsburgh's got to pay that 200,000.
Yeah, I don't. The thing is, in sports, I typically hate Pittsburgh teams, and Pirates, I just feel sorry for them.
You can't hate
Like,
the Pirates.
I hated Clint Hurdle. I'll say
Okay.
that. I did not like him at all. But
Hmm.
as far as the team, it's hard to hate them because they're
Yeah.
like Cardinals. I hate Cubs. I hate, but Pirates, it's
Like
kind of whatever.
I was a big Andy Van Slyke fan growing up. So
Yeah,
I was too.
I liked the Killer Bees as a whole. The Barry Bonds, the Bobby
yeah,
Bonilla, the Sid Bream. They had at the time they had Doug Drabeck. I know it didn't start with a B, but
yeah.
good team. I liked
Mhm.
watching them.
Tim Wakefield.
Yeah,
I forgot he was there.
the
Always thinking him as
knuckleballer.
the Red Sox.
Yeah, well, that's because he had some success there. He
Yeah.
had success as a Pirate too. They
He
just
did. That's why the Red Sox picked him up.
right, exactly.
I feel bad because I guess the problem is with the Pirates, like I view them very much similar to the Reds, in that the Reds have owners that just don't care to win. They're
Hmm.
making money and they're like whatever, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel bad because the Pirates are in the same boat. And the
Hmm.
Pirates, I mean, hands down, have the best stadium in the business. Like,
Hmm.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
only reason they're still here.
yeah. So I'm impartial.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess I'll root for the Padres. But I have no dog in the fight. Like I said, as long as it's good baseball, I'll be okay with it.
I'll probably
I
watch the
like.
World Series. I probably won't get into it until then.
I get tired of seeing the same teams there, and I don't like the teams with the big budgets getting there. But
Hmm. So it happens
other
every
than
year.
other than that, I have no dog in the fight as long as it's good baseball.
Well, there you go.
That's not our Mount Rushmore though.
That's
No.
okay. It's more topical
Yep. I figured we go topical every so often. So
every once in a while.
yeah, if Brock wants to send us out,
I guess I can. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you haven't yet done so, please click that subscribe button. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. While you're here, scroll down through the description. You'll see all of our friends who make Filsinger Games related content, including the official Filsinger Games podcast Roll Up, the Legends team's Uncharted Territory, Dizzy Dice from Lee Longpre, the Filsinger Games solo promoter from Grant Pachoco, which is also here on YouTube. Also on YouTube, you'll find Brad Plays 81, Dave Little's Heartland Championship Wrestling, Bucky749, and After Further Review. I'm back on Twitch here and there. I don't want to say a schedule because I've been having a hard time committing to one. So hopefully that turns around soon. Check that out. When I do go live, it's at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Usually Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays I try and hop on, run some Champions of the Galaxy bootleg matches. So that's always fun. I have a skinathon coming up on Friday, October 11th.
always sounds so dirty.
Skinathon. The Skinathon is coming. And there'll be several new cards from me that you can win doing various things on stream. And most of them you don't have to do anything but type chat commands. So
That makes it sound even dirtier. You can win skins by doing stuff online.
no, cards.
How did you get that skin?
How'd you get that skin?
genetics?
Hey, it was in the chat. Yeah, check that out. I'll post a link in the description. You guys can find it. I might even put a video up here about the cards that are coming out if I find time to do that. But yeah, until then, I guess we'll see you all next week.
Good night, everyone.
See you soon.
Later.